The US men's national team came away with a disappointing 1-1 draw against Wales in the World Cup after dominating much of the first half. In this video, we'll look at the strategy behind the US men's national team in Wales, why the US was so dominant in the first half, and how Wales turned the game around in the second half. Jumping right into the analysis, the US came out in Greg Berhalter's 4-3-3 system with 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 attackers. This system also looked to aggressively press Wales. This worked well in the first half, as Wales had little to no possession of the ball for much of the first half. This was mainly due to the US matching the Wales shape, with their 3 attackers matching against Wales' 3 defenders, and the US striker making sure that Wales' defensive midfielder wasn't able to receive the ball in the middle of the field, where it's much easier for Wales to bypass the pressure and move down the field through the center. Because of this great pressure, Wales were forced to kick the ball long for much of the first half, and they lost possession most of the time. However, remember this part, because kicking the ball long isn't always a bad thing. With the US having most of the possession, Wales looked to defend in a 5-at-the-back system, consisting of 5 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 2 forwards. 5 defenders makes it extremely tough for a team to score goals and create chances. However, it leaves more space for the other team in the midfield to use, and this was key because the USA controlled the midfield for much of the first half. The key players for the USA when attacking were their wingers, Pulisic and Moya, their outside midfielders, McKinney and Musa, and their outside fullbacks, Dest and Robinson. Berhalter's system allowed these players to interchange and make rotations with one another, creating hard-to-defend movements for the defense. The USA did this during the entire first half, and they created chance after chance this way. This would allow the US to move further down the field, create situations where they can even put 5 players forward, creating one-on-one situations against the 5 Wales defenders. This combination of pressure, the movement in midfield, and good overall play from the US is what led to the USA's first goal and dominating much of the first half. The second half is where Wales changed their system and their players and turned the game around. Wales subbed in a 6'5" striker, Moore, in order to sit forward and receive the long balls in the air so that he could control them for his team. When Wales were forced to kick the ball long, they didn't always lose possession, because having a 6'5" striker means that he could win headers in the air, head it down to his teammates, or control it and wait for his teammates to get closer to him. This, on top of his height as a threat on corners and free kicks, was a major factor for Wales, and he was a great substitution to bring on. Wales also changed their formation to have 4 midfielders, 3 forwards, and keeping only 3 defenders back when they had the ball. This allowed Wales to have more midfielders than the USA, allowing them to have control over the midfield. Wales were able to use this to their advantage to break the US pressure much easier, and it rendered the USA's shape that was so effective in the first half not nearly as effective in the second half. Wales also pushed much higher up the field because their 3 forwards were able to pressure the USA with their 4-man midfield to back them up, kind of similar to how the front 3 of the USA was pressuring Wales in the first half. This saw the US play long balls much more during the second half and have a lot less possession. It was a combination of long balls into the Wales players, the midfield control, and some solid play from the Wales players during the second half that allowed Wales to collect the ball and drive the ball into the box for Bale to draw a penalty for Wales. The USA had no answer to this new Wales system, and while Berhalter did make some subs to try and change up the game during the second half, he didn't make any changes to fix the structural issues that were caused by the change in the Wales system. In my opinion, this is why the biggest blame should be put on the US manager, and it's deserved. The USA looked like a different team in the second half. They couldn't finish off that great first half that they had because they couldn't adjust to their opponent. It's going to be important for the US to be able to adapt to their opponent if they want to get further on in this tournament. And a tie to Wales today will mean that the US will need to get a good result against England and Iran, and hope that Wales doesn't get some similar results if the US want to get through to the knockouts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions.